G'day everybody. Now I want to talk about ways of living. Now we all choose the way we want to live. And that is fine. That's what you call free will. But I've noticed a lot of people can get trapped in the society system where you want all the latest things. Because if you know why people say I don't want junk mail? Because if you see it, then you may want it, right? It's like, oh, I know about it now. It's just like if aliens turned up now and they had all this cool technology, we'd look at our stuff and go, this is stuff is crap, and you'd want their stuff now. We wouldn't call this the latest stuff like we are now, because it's only new when you see it first, you know? So it's the life we want to choose, isn't it? But if you turn into a human that just wants the coolest stuff all the time, so if you get like that, so, oh, I've got to have it, I want the coolest stuff, right? And that can become a society thing because everyone, likes to be like everyone, and if they've all got it, then I've got to have it. And if you live that society could be a very stressful society, I think, because you'll be always working because there'll always be stuff you want, right? Which is fine because life can be work if you want to have stuff. You can either want to go for a bushwalk, want to just sit down and relax, or you want to go to work to pay off the goods that you have. What I prefer to have is that you should have to just work for a little while. This is how I like to tell people. If you want to, this is your choice. This is a simple life choice. And you work for a while and you save up some money. This is what I'd do if I could restart. Now I've gone through life and wasted a bit of time with the society and connecting with people, because we all know that sometimes you can waste time connecting with people and go, oh, they weren't what they said and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't the way I wanted to be like, and you've changed and all that kind of thing. But if you just want a simple life, you could just leave home. You could even save money before you leave home, enough money to create this simple life too. You can do chores and get pocket money, right? And if you leave home with, say, 50 grand, that's probably more than enough, and go out of town far enough, you could get yourself some land. And the best thing about picking land, you don't want just a block in town that's got nothing on it. Block with nothing on it, that means you're going to go buy all the materials. You'll have to go work for it. But if you can find a spot like the people back in the old days used to travel to look for a spot that made their life a little easier than to go get the materials and bring it. You can if you got a Nile and other things you can do, right? But if you just want the simple life, you take that money and you go get some land that you get to own, and hopefully the government has cheap land if you're a person that likes to help the planet, so it makes your life even easier. And the government gives you nice cheap land where they want to make it better, so they offer it pretty much cheap as chips, and they even give you grants to help you with that land. Wouldn't that be a cool government to help get rid of deserts and to make everything better for everywhere? You know what I mean? And so the government should give grants to make anything better, more dams or anything that people to help for everybody. You know what I mean? And anyway, you move out, you get your land, you look for land with trees and some rocks on it. Not everyone's going to get this, of course, but you try your best. Everyone's different. Everyone likes different areas. Some people like to be in the desert. Some people like to look at trees. Some people like to look at water, and so on. But everyone has different choices, so this is just one choice. I'm not expecting everyone to do it either. And you get your land, and you build off the land, so you can dig down in the hole. You might even find gold down there, who knows? But you can dig in the land to find materials besides what's on top, so you can have some trees on top that you can maintain and then regrow. So over another 30 years you could do it again if you need those materials again. When it comes to wood, if it's nice and thick, you can get 30 years and all that kind of stuff. Depends on how you treat it, but you'd get 30 years by not even treating it, right? And redoing it. Some bush people do things like that. They just rather redo their house every year or so because it only takes 2 days to do, and then they've got a whole 2 years of going hunting and having fun and stuff and not worry about house payments, or if they're sick they're going to lose everything. That's what happens in this society. It becomes a stressful society when you lose everything. But if you own your own land, once you've got your land, you can start building your house. You know what you're doing, and you can do it whenever you want. It becomes like not so stressful. That's how I want to go do my life, something like that if I have to, right? That's the simple life. And then if you want another life from there, you can always save up some money. You can make things, like I'm making things right now, and I'm going to show people that you can make things off the land if you had land, right? And you can make money off that. So you can do what you want. See, I don't mind making things. I like looking at it. It's It's art for me to look at. It's going to be my furniture, right? I'm preparing myself now for when I get a home, right? Or I could sell it if I needed money. You could sell things to make extra money. So you can go buy a phone. Say you can buy a phone, you get a mobile phone, and you treat it well. You only need one phone for 10 years or so, and you can get on the internet and stuff like that. It's the same when it comes to a laptop. You don't need the newest laptop. You can get a hand-me-down that's a few years old for cheapest trips or for nothing, and be still able to get on the internet for a little while, maybe for a few years. I've noticed when you get hand-me-downs. But you can spend a little bit of money and just get a computer that's just a few years old, and that'll last you a few years. Instead of spending $1,200, you can get a $1,200 computer 3 years later from Cash Converters for about $200-300. You know what I mean? And it's still just as quick, and you'll get 5 years out of it. Where that guy paid $1,200, and he wants the next latest thing, and he only got a year or two out of it, but he's paid $1,200 for that. So he wanna hope he works a lot, hey. But that's his choice, and he could even have a better job. Some people are lucky when it comes to who gets paid what, isn't it? But what do you think? Would you rather the simple life or the city life, as we call it, society life? You're still in society out of town, but I see that more disconnected, more off-grid of society, but can still connect, or you'd be full on in it. But when you're full on in it, you got to pay all the rent and all that kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it becomes stressful, and that's why we have to live off the government system. Lucky we have the government system, because if we didn't have the government system, we'd have a lot of people on the streets living this way. Definitely when we can't just go for a walk and restart, the government doesn't allow us to do that. So if you screw up in this system and you don't have the money to go get land, so you can go, look, I just want to go over there and sit over there, mate, and just let me heal and meditate and do my own thing. If you've got nowhere to do that, then you're stuck in the system, aren't you? You get trapped and you get depressed and go through all sorts of problems. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole nother discussion to talk about. But I thought I'd chuck that out. What do you think's a better life for you? Let me know in comments. Do you like the life you have now? Some people are quite happy in this life right now, and they found their spot they like to be. But then some people aren't. So what are you? Are you happy or are you not happy? I'm not happy in this type of life because I'm now a person that likes to connect with nature full on and do unto others that I wish to be done unto me. So that's including all the animals and creatures. And so I don't like the way they do things when it comes to that and how they treat the land. But you can't do nothing about that because it's a collective decision. But all you can do is just go somewhere else to look at. Like they say all the time, if you don't like something, just leave it alone. That's the best thing for us, isn't it? If you don't like something, just leave it alone. You can always try, and if you notice nothing works when you try something, just leave it alone. That's how I'm starting to see things. I've learnt that over time too. Over time you think, oh, you can change things, and sometimes you could be right about changing things, but I've tried something for 2 years, pretty much I could count all my taxes within, 50 taxes in the last 2 years, 20 taxes, right? And none of them got to do with what I'm actually doing either. So I've had no replies of the efforts I've been doing. So that's where you go, well, if it doesn't happen, as long as if you're happy about it, you just keep on trucking, which is what I'm going to do with the things I'm doing. And it doesn't hurt. I'm going to live my life and have the way I want to live. And if other people don't want it to do the same thing, this is what other religions would say to people, then that's fine. And that's how we leave it. I'm not going to become a preacher. I never liked how people come and push and preach. But if they want to hear, they can hear, and I will say my say a few times, and then I'll just leave it. I won't do it forever. Anyway, bye-bye, and have a good one, people. See ya.